الحمد لله الذي خلق السماوات والأرض وجعل الظلمات والنور ثم الذين كفروا بربهم يعدلون. الحمد لله الذي أنزل على عبده الكتاب ولم يجعل له عوجا. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق. نعم. وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته, Sister Zakira and everyone else. And this is our second class of a very important issue, the issue of fiqh. And we talked before about the issue of fiqh in the original sense. It meant just understanding your religion. And it wasn't broken down as only that which deals with the four pillars of Islam after the Shahada. But just like we know the history of man, the human being used to be 60 cubits tall. And then look at our height today. So mankind is on a decrease. We're on a decrease in every aspect. Religiously, morally, psychologically, financially, on a decrease. So never fall and believe in the fact that we're progressing. We're not progressing, we're degressing. Allah Ta'ala said in Surah Al-Tawbah, كَالَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُمْ, like those who were before you, كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْكُمْ قُوَّةً, they were stronger than you. Look at the pyramids. Look at Stonehenge. Look at any old place and how strong it's built, and look at tornado, hurricane, earthquake happens today. It destroys the stuff we just built, but the stuff that's been there, it's still there. It doesn't fall. There's been how many earthquakes in Egypt? When I was living in Egypt, it was one tremor. But before I moved to Egypt, there was a severe earthquake. The buildings that were built by people of today fell. The pyramids stayed there. Apple Hall, or what do they call it? The Sphinx was still there. The pyramids up in Luxor was still there. All that stuff stayed. But the new houses around that fell down. So who's stronger? Who's stronger? Are their buildings still there through their weather and through our weather? Allah said, كَالَّذِينَ مِن قَبْلِكُمْ كَانُوا أَشَدَّ مِنْكُمْ قُوَّةً. You can't challenge it. Allah said they were more stronger than you. They were stronger than you. وَأَكْثَرَ أَمْوَالًا وَأَوْلَادًا. And they had more wealth. We have paper notes. Read what the dollar bill says so you know what it is. The dollar bill, like every other bill, used to be a note that you trade in with the banker. When you give him your gold, when you give him your actual gold, you give him your gold, and then he gives you a note saying that you have gold in stock with him. That's what the note was for. So you keep that on you whenever you want to go get your gold back. Or you can trade with your note and sign it over to the person who gave you merchandise or a service, and then that person would own that gold. But it was always in gold, silver, and precious minerals. So now they've duped us out of those. The gold, silver, and precious minerals still exist. They duped us out of that in the guise of progress, or because the people forgot why the paper notes were even invented. The paper notes were invented to signify that with that number, that there's a piece of gold under this number at a certain place. Now people believe that the colored paper is actually worth something. The colored paper is worth nothing. My grandfather, my father-in-law, rahimahullah ta'ala, worked for years in Lebanon. And he was saving money. And then Lebanon had a big war. And he was stuck there during the war. So then after it was over, he came back to Egypt. Well, they made an announcement. My father-in-law, rahimahullah ta'ala, was not a person of television, social media, and all of that. Social media didn't exist then, but television and all of that. So they made an announcement in Lebanon on the news and telling people, whatever notes you have of the old currency, you have to turn it in because we're going to discontinue it. All of the money he saved up, he didn't see the message. As he's going to leave, he brought it back to Egypt with him. He goes to the bank to trade it in for Egyptian currency because he's going to Egypt. They said, you didn't get the message? He said, what message? We've discontinued that. He said, what are you talking about? I've been here for years. What are you saying? He says, nothing we can do. That has been discontinued. Can't do that with a piece of gold. Can't do that with a piece of silver. They said, it's over. We discontinued it. And I don't know if it's still to today. And something similar happened to me when I left Yemen. Thousands and thousands of Yemeni reals. And my kids till today, when they play like shop owner and like that, they use that Lebanese money and Yemeni money while they're playing games. How's it? So what is it worth? It's colored paper.
Recently it happened in India.
There we go.
Stop the iron bills.
So now the kids can play with those notes now. unless you get traded in, the kids can play with them. I had 32,000. I forget, but whatever I had in Yemen, it was worth about $700. What I had when I got to Egypt to trade it in, that's how my kids had done play with it. So when I got to Egypt, because I left Yemen suddenly, so when I got to Egypt to trade it in for Egyptian pounds, they said it has no trading value. They said they're going to give me $11 for something in Yemen that was worth $700. They said we'll give you $11 for it, because who's going to buy a Yemeni real? Who's going to buy it? And like that. But the point of me mentioning all that is that we are in digression as a race of human beings. We're in digression. We're not going forward. We're going backward. And if we, especially as Muslims, don't realize and accept it, we're going to be in the most severe loss. The people who are misguided, they're not really going to lose. Why? As the Prophet ﷺ said, "Ad-dunya jannat sajnul mu'min wa jannatul kafir." That the dunya is a prison for the believer and a paradise for the disbeliever. So they're not going to lose anything. They're gonna get their jannah. They're going to drink and eat and party, and they're going to do what they want to do. But for us, it would be a double loss for us to not do the things that they're doing, and may Allah protect us from doing the things that they're doing, but at the same time, don't benefit from the guidance of Quran and Sunnah. So, we can't lose twice. Muslims, we can't lose twice. We already know that this is a prison for us. We can't drink, and we can't go to the place they go to. We're practicing this restraint for a reason. And just like they are doing their best to be the best at what has been their paradise, we have to do the best to get the best of our paradise we believe in. Nah. So al-fiqh is very important. And the Prophet made it known, let me say it that way, that being granted understanding of religion is a sign that Allah wants good for an individual. And I repeat all the time, things are made clear by the opposite. So not being allowed to get understanding of the religion is a sign that Allah Ta'ala is not pleased with an individual. So if a person is striving and learning and that, I'm not just talking about the actual result. I'm talking about to be given tawfiq to the process, to be granted success that Allah Ta'ala gives you the desire and the action with it. I think we talked before about something called tathabbut with a ta. It's mentioned in Surah At-Tawbah also. Tathabbut and other in Surah At-Tawbah. Not tathabbut. Tathabbut with a ta, it means to verify something. Right? It's one of the recitations of Surah Al-Hujurat. When Allah said, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu in ja'akum fasiqun binaba'in fatabayyanu aw fatathabbatu. Or you believe if there comes to you a person of corruption with information, then verify it first. Verify it. So this is what we do with information that comes to us that's not verified. Nah. And we will make you firm in the questioning. So that is tathabbut with a ta. But tathabbut with a ta, it means to be prohibited. Prohibited. To be held back. Right? Allah Ta'ala talked about the hypocrites when they wanted to go with the Prophet to fight. And Allah Ta'ala said, Karihallahum bi'athihim and bi'athahum. That Allah hated that they be dispatched with the believers. He hated it. فَثَبَّتَهُمْ. So he held them back. And being held back, and I'll reiterate it because when we see things going on in our lives, sometimes we might not understand it. If we get an understanding on it, we can build a defense, or if it's something harmful, or we can build up a a way of taking advantage of it if it's something beneficial. Because it's the two most dangerous thing to a human being is not to know how to defend themselves from harm, or not to know how to get the best out of something that's beneficial. That's the two. You know, you imagine somebody coming up to you and there's something that you've had access to, let's say for 6 months, 8 months, and you're using it, and then they come and they open and say, Dang, so what do you know about that? Oh, I do this. No, that, you know what that's for? And they show you 10 other things you could have done with it. You say, wow. You know what? Because I brought something up and I said, no, that does that, and it does that, and it does that. You're like, wow. I could have done without all of that and just dealt with what? This particular thing. So anytime we find something beneficial, we want to try, Muslims, please, we want to try to get the most benefit out of that which is beneficial, and we want to try to decrease as much as possible the possible harm from things that are harmful. So Allah Ta'ala held them back. وَقِيلَ اقْعُدُوا مَعَ الْقَاعِدِينَ. It was said to them, sit back with those who sit back with the women and children. The women and children. So a tathabbut has different perspectives. Some of it is obviously blameworthy for the person that's being held back, and some of it's not blameworthy, right? So you have tathabbut where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives the person the desire and the ability. The desire to do the thing is good, and the ability to do the thing, but strips him of the drive. It's the desire. I want to do that. He has the ability, but he has no drive, so he never does it. Yeah, tomorrow. Yeah, man. Listen, I was going to do it today, but tomorrow, inshallah, I'm really going to. And then because he lacks drive, he never gets it done. The scholars call it in Arabic tasweef. Tasweef from the word sofa means soon. And soon, so you have sa, kalla sayalamun, and you have sofa, right? Sa and sofa, seeing and sofa means something in the near future, right? So at tasweef, to soon do something. That's like I will, but the person won't actually do it. So we have to be careful to tathabbut, having the desire and the ability, but no drive. And I think I mentioned before, most places I go when I talk about this issue, I mentioned a police officer in Egypt named Muhammad Ashmawi. Hafidhahullah ta'ala, he's a brother that's on the police force. And he worked on the borders between Egypt and Palestine and Palestine in order to protect the borders from a Jewish invasion or Israeli invasion. So he had a partner working with him. And Muhammad Ashmawi, he's, a religious brother. So when the salat comes in, he prays. So every time prayer comes in, he prays. They're on the borders for years together. They're partners. And he said one day he came out of the salat, and his partner, guard on the border, said, Allahu Akbar, mashallah. He said, what? He said, mashallah, every time prayer comes, mashallah, you pray, man. I want to do, I want to really do just the same what you're doing. I want to pray like you pray. He said, then pray. He said, I can't. He's been stripped of the drive. He doesn't have enough iman to drive him to actually complete the action. The desire is there. The ability is there. But there's not, his faith is not strong enough to carry him to actually fulfill it. Take this as your measuring stick for anything about deen that you want to do, that you have the ability and the opportunity, but you don't do it. Take this as your measuring stick and find out, am I in tathabbut? Have I been stripped of the drive? And then once, if you pass the ruling on yourself, this is like the hadith of Tha'labi, where the Prophet said, "Istafti qalbak." He said, seek the fatwa from your heart. So in this is individual, this takes individual assessment. Nobody can tell you that this is your situation. This is an individual assessment. So now as an individual, you have to say, okay, let me think about the things in deen that I want to do, that I actually have the ability to do them, the opportunity to do them, but I keep saying, oh, next time. Think about anything religious you want to do that you keep putting off without any real excuse. And then you're going to find that this is tathabbut. This is tathabbut. May Allah Ta'ala protect us from tathabbut. Ameen. Ameen.
So how we can get rid of that thing in us?
First is to detect it. When you want to detect it, all you have to do is say, we have to switch the way we look at things. Instead of looking at it as like, of course, we're talking about beyond, because it's a more serious conversation when we're talking about obligatory actions. So alhamdulillah, we know the brothers that are here and the brothers and sisters that are online, they're the people that's doing the obligatory actions. We're talking about what is beyond that, what is beyond obligatory, right? So now when we talk about that is beyond obligatory actions, the shaitan comes to us in our weak selves and says to us what? I mean, it's not obligatory. That's the excuse. Because Allah has not made it an obligation to do it. That's one of the main excuses that the shaitan whispers when you want to increase in your Jannah. Allah didn't make it obligatory. Okay, true. But right now, what's stopping me? And why not increase? Why not increase? Because if we look at it, we don't look at the dunya the same way, right? We don't look at the dunya like someone said, whatever field that a person doesn't say, yeah, you know, doing that same thing, you can make more money if you do this. And shaitan doesn't come to us say, oh, making more money is not obligatory. You don't get that whisper when it comes to dunya, when worldly things. It only comes when it comes to deen. It only, the absence of encouragement is not present when it comes to dunya. Even people are very successful are still encouraged to go further. No, why stop now? You can do more. You can do more. You can do more. Right? The Prophet ﷺ said, "Lo kana li ibni Adam wadin min al-dhahab latamanna wadiyayn." He said, if the son of Adam had a valley of gold, he would wish for two. And his greed for more will never end. وَلَا يَمْلَى فِيهِ إِلَّا أَوْ لَا يَمْلَى فَاهُ إِلَّا التُّرَابِ. And nothing will fill his belly but dirt. Meaning we won't be satisfied until we're dead. And the Prophet ﷺ said, طَالِبًا لَا يَشْبَعَانِ. He said, two seekers will never get their fill. The seeker of knowledge and the seeker of wealth. They will never be fulfilled. So much money. You can never get enough. So you have to now say, okay, I'm a Muslim. I was not created to chase money. However, you have to decide what is money in your life at this point, or wealth. Is it a necessity? Is it a need? It is a want? Or is it a luxury? That will let you know how to schedule your seeking of wealth, categorizing. So whatever wealth that you're seeking, that's a necessity, meaning without it, you would die. That's a necessity. A necessity is something that if you don't have it, you'll die. So whenever wealth is a necessity, then it's an obligation to seek it. You can't leave it off. A need, whatever wealth that's a need, wealth that is a need is something that if you don't have it, it makes life extremely uncomfortable, almost unbearable. You won't die, but it'll be extremely unbearable. And we gave examples of this before. Food, medical care is a necessity, right? Clothing and shelter are needs. You won't die without clothing and shelter in most situations. However, without clothing and shelter, life is very difficult, okay? And then you have wants, meaning that which makes your life comfortable. That what makes your life comfortable. A husband, wife with 2 boys and a girl. Then in reality, they need a 3-bedroom home or apartment, right? But could they be fine with 1 bedroom or 2? Yeah, they could be fine with 1 bedroom or 2. But in reality, they would want a 3-bedroom because that would make their lives comfortable. It will make their lives comfortable. And then you have luxuries. Luxuries. Luxuries are what make life special. Luxuries make life special. So look at what you're seeking and what category it falls in, and then chase behind it or seek it based on that category. If it's a necessity, you treat it just like everything else obligatory, just like the salah. Seeking this wealth is obligatory. You can't kill yourself, right? If it's a need, then you seek after it also on the level of that which would lead to fulfilling the obligation. Nah. And if it's a want, also then you gauge it. Also, when we look at things of the dunya, we have to look at it and how it impacts how it impacts our deen. How it impacts our deen. This is important. So this tathabbut, the person has to assess him or herself and find out, okay, how many things of this deen I have the ability to do, but I don't do, and nothing stops me from doing it except for lack of drive. Then at that point, making the transition is just like a person who is sick begins to take medicine, a bitter medicine, not gummies and all the sweet medicine. No, the bitter, the real, the old medicine, the bitter. The person feels like he's going to throw it back up when he takes it. It's going to be like taking medicine. So it means that this religious action, when you first start doing it, is going to be a burden. And when you're in the burden stage, when you first begin doing it, a supererogatory, obligatory action, when you're in the stage where you first started doing it and it's like a burden, it's just like exercise when you first start working out. Person goes back and look in the mirror. I mean, I'm not that bad. I don't need that. This stuff hurts. I don't need to work out that bad. Maybe I'll just walk. I'm just going to change the way I eat. The person wants to avoid this obligation. So the first stage is to begin doing the opposite. So, or doing that thing that you want to do. So the person starts doing it. It will be like a burden. And we talked before about when it comes to good deeds and evil deeds, how the person should do. It makes a list of the good deeds he wants to do. And it makes a list of the evil deeds that he or she wants to abandon. And then when it comes to the good deeds, he starts with the easiest and begins doing that. In the beginning, it's a burden. Toilsome. Then after being a burden, it becomes, for lack of a better expression, a everyday practice. Then once it becomes an everyday practice, it becomes a habit, right? Now, the importance of seeking knowledge when doing religious actions about the actions, the benefit of the actions, the reward for the actions, and the effects of the actions on the person when doing them. This is important to know, because when a person begins to realize and consider the reward that Allah Ta'ala has placed in so many actions, whether small or great, and the sins that they remove, what happens? That it becomes an enjoyment. Start enjoying it. Oh, this is good. The person starts like missing this act of worship is like missing a meal, or missing this act of worship is like missing something. The person's like, something's missing. I know. I didn't pray duha today. It feels like something is missing out of his life. And then once a person begins to enjoy ibadah, enjoy worship, what happens? Becomes addicted. Meaning, you're going to see the person like they're not in their normal self when they've missed it. It's like they feel disturbed. Like, you okay? You okay? Yeah. They might not tell you, but the person might be thinking like, I woke up late, I missed duha. I woke up right before duha, I missed duha. And it hurts. This is when the person enjoys it. There's a sweetness. They focus on the reward of it. And like that, this is how it has to be. Like a person missing up late, waking up late for work and missing work, like, oh man, I needed that money. There's a bill coming. It becomes like that. Like, no, the Yom Qiyamah is coming, man. I need duha. We want to be like that. We want to be like that. I missed the witr. Yom Qiyamah is coming. I need that. I need that for that bill that I have to pay for the sin I committed the other day. You about to say something, DJ?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You sidekick or something?
No, we're the same. We're the same. Yeah. No, he said like, it's like I'm reading his mind, he said. It's like I'm reading his mind.
They're watching me or something.
No, because we're the same. We go through the same struggles. We go through the same struggles. This is the human being. This is why I advise any Muslim.
The same struggle most of us are going through.
Yeah. Yep. But we might be in different stages of the struggle, but it's the same struggle. Or the struggle may be more obvious on some of us than others, but we're in the same struggle. We're in the same struggle. And that what I was about to say. Slipped my mind, but either way, we all have to just gather the tools to prepare us for the mission. So that's what we're doing, is gathering the tools. The Prophet ﷺ said, فَذَكِّرْ فَإِنَّ الذِّكْرَ تَنْفَعُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ. So this is a good sign, like you feel like, wow, this applies to me. And this is important. We talked about this earlier when we were here, me, Sheikh Jamil, and our elder Muhammad Tori. We talked about it earlier. Allah Ta'ala said, الَّذِينَ يَسْتَمِعُونَ الْقَوْلَ فَيَتَّبِعُونَ أَحْسَنَ. Know that, inshallah, your heart is being guided by Allah when you hear it and it applies to you and you're not offended. That you feel like, oh, this is an encouragement. This is important when you hear ayat and it reminds you about your shortcomings. And it reminds you about what you need to be. If you're offended, then this is a sad state. This is a dangerous state to be in. To be offended by a verse of the Quran being quoted. And you look at a verse from the Quran as an attack on your person. This is, number one, it's the most a clear sign of guilt of the person who's offended. It's the most clear sign. When a person is offended, that person said that verse, and begins looking for faults in the speaker or another understanding for the verse because they don't like it to apply to them. This is a problem. Allah said, those who hear the word and follow the best meaning. When you hear a verse from the Quran, the Quran is good. So you cannot look for a possible bad meaning from Quran being quoted, or a possible evil meaning or evil intention behind the Quran being quoted, unless it's being twisted, like the meaning. But if the verse is being quoted with the correct understanding, then why would a person be offended? You know, it's like the old saying goes, the guilty will speak. Okay, now I'm Tariq, Jazakallah khair. So he said, I was mentioning that feeling bad about missing. Yeah. So this is a sign when a person feels bad about missing out on the opportunity to do a good deed. When a person, feels affected by doing evil. This is the least we just recited that in Salat al-Maghrib. وَلَا أُقْسِمُ بِالنَّفْسِ اللَّوَّامَةِ. And Allah said, I swear by the self-blaming soul, al-lawwam. This is constantly blame. This is the least stage of a mu'min, of a believer. The least stage is that the believer, when he hears those verses about falling short and not fulfilling obligations and not fulfilling or not striving to the best, that person feels guilty. We can at least feel guilty, at the very least. But if the person is absolved from the feeling of guilt and we don't want to have the aqidah of the Christians. And that aqidah of the Christians, it crept into our ummah. And it destroyed our morals and manners. The aqidah of the Christians, God is love. God is mercy. God accept everybody. Come as you are. God accept everybody. That is a lie. You're lying on Allah. Allah is merciful, but you can't say Allah is just all mercy and then tell the story of the flood of Noah and Sodom and Gomorrah being destroyed. And so what's going on? Somebody's going to get punished. He punishes people. Somebody's going to get it. Everybody's not accepted. Why would he create the hellfires if he accepts everybody? Come as you are. Why would he? Why did he say this is haram and that is haram and that is haram? Why are there conditions to prayer? Why are there conditions to la ilaha illallah? There are conditions for a person to be Muslim, conditions for a person to make hajj, conditions for a person to make the salah, conditions for a person to pay the zakat. The conditions to everything. So then why are these conditions there if everybody's accepted? Everybody's not accepted. Everybody's not accepted. The only people that are accepted are those who accept his call. Allah accepts the call of those who accept his call. Allah Ta'ala said, وَإِذَا سَأَلَكَ عِبَادِي عَنِّي فَإِنِّي قَرِيبٌ. And if my slaves ask you about me, then tell them I am close. أُجِيبُ الدَّعْوَةَ الدَّاعِ إِذَا دَعَانِ. I answer the call of the caller when they call on me. فَلْيَسْتَجِيبُوا. So let them answer my call. وَيُؤْمِنُوا بِهِ. And believe in me, لَعَلَّهُمْ يَرْشُدُونَ. So that they can be guided. So tathabbut, to have ability, opportunity, and no drive is very dangerous. It's very dangerous. Because when a person is in a situation of tathabbut, it is Allah Ta'ala establishing his argument against the individual who have been put into that state, that the reason they want to do the action is ulterior motives. And this was with the situation with those individuals that want to go fight with the Prophet. They didn't want to go because they wanted Islam to win. They wanted to go in order to win this, get the spoils of war. That's all they wanted. All they wanted. If the Muslims conquer a nation, just like any nation, when a nation conquers another nation, what happens? The artifacts, the gold, all of that is, part of the money. So they say, oh yeah, we can get some money on this one. But when they thought the Prophet would lose, they would never go. They said, no, they're going to lose. We ain't going. Not going. We're going to get captured or killed. When they did the Prophet, they're strong now. They're going to win. Yeah, now we can go get some money. Yeah. So we reached the part where the Sheikh was bringing the hadith in the book Umdatul Ahkaam. So another point, just before we begin reading actually from the book. We talked about the ayat. It comes in twice in Baqarah, then in Ali Imran, and then in Surah Al-Jumu'ah, those verses. Where Ibrahim the first verse is Ibrahim alayhi salam making dua to Allah. رَبَّنَا وَابْعَثْ فِيهِمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْهُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْهِمْ آيَاتِكَ وَيُعَلِّمُهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ وَيُزَكِّيهِمْ. Ibrahim made dua. He said, oh Allah, and send amongst them a prophet from them, reciting to them your words, and teaching them the book and the sunnah, and purify them. إِنَّكَ أَنْتَ الْعَزِيزُ الْحَكِيمُ. Indeed, you are the most mighty, the most wise. This is Ibrahim's dua. Later on in Baqarah, Allah Ta'ala corrected Ibrahim's dua. Allah Ta'ala said, وَكَذَلِكَ بَعَثْنَا فِيكُمْ رَسُولًا مِّنْكُمْ يَتْلُو عَلَيْكُمْ آيَاتِنَا. And like that, we sent amongst you a prophet from yourselves, reciting to you our verses, وَيُزَكِّيكُمْ, and purifying you. وَيُعَلِّمُكُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْحِكْمَةَ, and teaching you the book and the sunnah. So Allah, when he said in his words, he put tazkiyah, purification, before knowledge. So the first purification that we have to come in is with pure intentions. That we're coming to get a benefit. That we're coming, that Allah Ta'ala is going to let us hear something that's going to raise us. That's going to let us hear something that's going to give us that drive that we're looking for to do better. I mean, if we look at today, especially today, TED Talks, what do they call motivational speakers, all about dunya. All about, and you can find, if you want to get encouraged about chasing the worldly things, oh man, the internet is full of it. Lectures all over the place. They are busy. They are encouraging one another to the dunya. They're very busy. So what about us? They don't get offended by their methodology. They don't get offended and say, he keeps saying, you need to wake up early, and then how does he know who wakes up and who doesn't wake up? They don't get offended when they hear it. They get encouraged. Yeah, he's right. I heard him say such and such and such and such. Yeah, you're right. I have to wake up early. I did a study. And I'm speaking to everyone here, unless you guys are praying somewhere else. I did a study in 2013 on the world's billionaires. So at that time, when I did my study, it was 1,625 billionaires in the world. 1,625 billionaires in the world. Mm-hmm. Right? From them, according to the, what do you call it? The ihsaiyat statistics. Out of 800, as remember, 25 or 830 of them was what they call self-made, meaning they didn't come from money. Right? So it's almost half of them. Half of them did not come from wealth. They made their money on their own. The other half, they come from wealthy families. But one thing, in studying their lifestyle, what I found out, that most of them woke up to start their day at 4 a.m. not 6, at 4 a.m. to get their money. It was between that, but just like our elder said, between 4 and 6 a.m., they were up. They started their day. Our Prophet ﷺ told us, Al-baraka fi bukurikum, that the blessing comes down in the earliest part of your day. That's why the most dangerous thing for a Muslim, I don't care if it's a Muslim because he's doing business or he wants to learn his deen, is to sleep after Fajr. That's the worst nap. After Fajr nap is the worst nap. You're sleeping through all kind of barakah. You're sleeping through the barakah. And one time, Abu Musa al-Ashari, he went to go visit Ibn Mas'ud radiallahu anhu. Right? They prayed Salat al-Fajr and he went to visit Ibn Mas'ud. Knocked on the door. So, slave girl answered the door and she said, wait. So they said, as he narrated, said, we sat a long time waiting. So then finally Ibn Mas'ud came to the door. He greeted them and let them in. They said, we were just about to leave. We thought you were sleeping. He said, Atadhununa bi ahli ibn Mas'ud and ghafla? He said, do you think the family of Ibn Mas'ud is heedless? He said, we thought you were sleeping. But his personal practice is that he doesn't deal with anybody before the time of duha, shuruq. Yeah, so he let them wait. Okay, you're knocking on my door. He doesn't deal. He kept, we read the whole narration. It says that, so he kept asking the slave girls, it was after Fajr, has the sun risen yet? She said, no. So he said, kept doing dhikr. They would come to again, go see, has the sun risen yet? She would go see. No, he kept doing dhikr. He knows people at the door, but he's not talking to anybody until the sun comes up. You get, this time is mine. You get none of it. SubhanAllah. So he let them sit there. If they want to stay, if it's important, they're going to stay. If it's not important, they'll leave and he can go ahead and do his dhikr. It doesn't matter. So he was doing his, remembering Allah and saying the name of Allah. And then finally, when the sun fully risen, in the time of shuruq, then he went and talked to them. And they said, oh, we were about to leave. We thought you were sleeping. He said, do you think my family's heedless? We're not sleeping after Fajr. We're not sleeping after Fajr. So this is a dangerous time to sleep.
After Duha, we can sleep.
Huh?
After Duha.
After Duha.
Praying Duha,
Yeah, after Duha.
After sunrise.
If you want.
Yeah, after sunrise. After sunrise.
After praying the 2 rakat Duha,
Mm-hmm.
go back to sleep.
Yeah,
And
you
have
can.
enough sleep.
But really, the qaylula, and the narrations I read on qaylula have been all weak, not fabricated, but weak. That the qaylula in the middle of the day, like that was a habit. It's been weak, but it's a custom. Qaylula means like a nap after the nap.
Shuruq and Duha is different, right?
Mm-hmm. Shuruq is different. It's not duha. No,
No, but it is not haram to sleep right after Fajr. Like,
it's not haram.
You don't have any sleep at night. You still
It's not, even if you slept all night, you can sleep all day and wake up for the salat. All of this halal. But we're talking about getting the best out of your venture capital. Your time is your venture capital. You got to try to make as much as you can off your time. Even the people of taqwa, may Allah make us from them. Ameen. Yawm al-Qiyamah, when they're rewarded, when Allah enters into Jannah, they're going to feel regret that they didn't do more. The people that go to Jannah, when they see Jannah inside with heaven, when the people go to heaven, when they see the inside of heaven and the rewards in heaven, these are people that's in heaven. They're going to say, oh, I wish I would have spent more time in dhikr. My reward could have been greater than this. Oh, all of this. Could you imagine how much more I could have gotten? That's how it goes. That's how it goes. Because when they realize, let's say they're on the second level, third level, and they realize it's 7 levels. And they said that the between each level is the distance of 500 years. And when you see the people in the heaven above, the people that are in the heaven below, when they look and see the people in the distance in the heaven above, it's going to be like looking at the stars. That's how far they're going to be. And the people in the higher heavens, they can come down and visit the people in the lower heaven, but the people in the lower heaven can't go up to visit the people in the higher heaven. Some of the scholars said the wisdom, one of the benefits, I'm not going to say the wisdom behind it, Allah knows best, but one of the benefits behind that is what? If a person goes to see something better and then comes back down to something that's great, but they saw something greater, it creates what? Ungratefulness. Consider ungratefulness. And just a sidebar benefit, this is why it's don't think this is just my personal thing. This is our mothers that believe the Prophet's wives were affected by this. Be careful, oh brothers. I'm talking about the married brothers, even and brothers with children. You may have a friend that you love that is close to you, that Allah Ta'ala has granted him more wealth than you. So his living condition is different from yours. His riding beast is different from yours. His home is different from yours. Know the weakness and strength of your family. To introduce them to that and then take them back home could be a fitna. Could be a fitna. Take your wife to a house, mashallah, and then you go back to, it could be a problem. Be careful. Our mothers, the mothers who believe the Prophet's wives were affected by going to Medina and finding out those women were getting allowances and like that. And they started asking the Prophet for those things. And we know our women are not like the Prophet's women. So be careful. Women and children are affected by that. They are affected by that. So be careful of that. Now, so here we are. And the Sheikh is still going over the hadith, إِنَّمَا الْأَعْمَالُ بِالنِّيَّاتِ, actions are by intentions. He said, فَلَا تُقْبَلَ الْأَعْمَالُ ولا تصح جميع الأعمال التي يتقرب بها العباد إلى الله يتعبدون بها لا تصح إلا بالإخلاص لله. So we talked about that part. He said no action is accepted. None of the actions are correct. The actions in which we seek closeness to Allah and we worship Allah, they are not correct nor they accepted except with having sincerity to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it has to also be in agreement with the sunnah of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Right? So, قال بعض الأهل العلم إن حديث عمر ربع الدين وأنشد فيه ذلك. Some of the scholars say that the hadith of Umar is a quarter of the religion. And they said some lines, saj'a or shi'r, some lines of rhyme. They said a rhyme that points to this, or a poem, or more like a rhyme. Umdatul din عندنا كلمات أربع من كلام خير البرية اتق الشبهات وازهد ودع ما ليس يعنيك واعلما بالنية. Right? He said, عمدة الدين عندنا كلمات أربع. That the foundations of the religion, as far as we're concerned, are in 4 words. The foundations of the religion and with us are 4 words or 4 statements, or really meaning 4 ahadith. Min kalam khayr al-bariyah, from the speech of the best of creation. Ittaqu shubuhat. He's talking about the hadith of Nu'man ibn Bashir in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. He said, and we're going to get to the hadith in the 40 hadith class, inshallah. Leave off that which makes you doubt. Wazhad. Look at that. So the deen of 4 hadith. Stay away from that which causes you doubt. Wazhad. The dunya. When the Sahabi came to the Prophet and said, Ya Rasulullah, teach me something that will cause Allah to love me and cause the people to love me. Allahu Akbar. He said, Izhad fi dunya yuhibbuk Allah. He said, cut off your seeking of the dunya and Allah will love you. Wazhad fima inda nas yuhibbuk nas. And cut off asking the people for their possessions and the people will love you. You get that? Why? Or how do we benefit? Why did the Prophet ﷺ say, or how do we benefit from the Prophet's statement, cut off your seeking of the dunya and Allah will love you? Why? What do we get out of that?
When you remove the unneedless things, the things that aren't a necessity in the dunya, you can then replace that with more time of seeking your Lord, the pleasure of your Lord.
It's like a competition. It's like a competition. And if we look at it in reality, let's be honest, let's be real with ourselves. It's like a competition between Allah, that not that Allah is competing, that we have placed between Allah and the dunya. You have 2 types of extremists in this issue right here. 2 types of extremists. You have the extreme wealth seekers who always want an excuse not to do anything in deen. Anything. I'm not talking about brothers that, trying their best to find balance, help, give sadaqah, build masajid. I'm talking about people that they come, don't have a part of anything religious going on, and then they're gone. And where you at? I gotta go to work. Brother, they have nothing to do with anything religious going on. These extremists, their excuse is that, well, we need doctors, we need lawyers, we need engineers, their excuse for not doing anything in the deen is that they've decided what the ummah needs. And what the ummah needs is always something connected to the dunya. And deen, okay, and they'll make mockery of people in the masjid. Okay, you're there in the masjid like that, but how the lights going to stay on? But how, okay, how a hospital's going to get built? How the road's going to be fixed if we don't have any money? So they're extreme in that. Then you have people extreme in deen. Sit in the masjid all day long. Thicker than reading Quran and what? They don't have work, a business, a skill, trade, anything. And then they try to shame the people who are seeking wealth. SubhanAllah, all they want to do is seek dunya. SubhanAllah, what about dhikr? What about that? But other people feed them. These are the two extremists. People have nothing to do with the deen. All they care about is dunya, and the salat is a hobby. I'll make time for the salah. The religion is something, to the side. I'll get to that when I get to it. But right now I have to do this. Then you have the other extreme, that they know all of the ayat in the Quran about spending in the way of Allah. How can a Muslim have no money? So who's going to spend in the way? Who's going to get the reward of spending in the way of Allah? Nobody has money. Who's going to give the zakat if everybody's on the condition that they have to receive it? Who's going to give it? If everybody needs to receive charity, who's going to be giving the charity? So we have to have a balance. We made you a middle course nation. So we have to be middle course in all of this. So it's fi dunya yuhibbuk Allah. So don't make your dunya as a competition for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Meaning that you find yourself in a state, Allah or money. Okay, that's not obligatory. Money. No. Hey, that's what it comes to us. That's we're saying, Allah or more money, Allah or more money, Allah or money. Allah forgive me. It's the money, right? I realized how detrimental. I remember I used to be very proud. I used to see those young brothers, specifically in Mauritania. I used to see the young brothers from all over the world sitting in those masajid, and they're reading Quran. It would be maybe 50, 100, 200 brothers. And even in Yemen, it was the same thing. When I was in Yemen, the masjid was 3 levels. Every level of the masjid had a level of seekers of knowledge, and they were memorizing Quran and memorizing hadith and fiqh and aqidah and like that. And they would be there all day, every day. And I was really happy, but my children were 2 years old. My wife was pregnant, and my children were babies. What happened was my children became teenagers. And specifically, my daughters. I started looking at all of those young men sitting in those different masajid, reading Quran all day and learning hadith all day and learning aqidah all day. I mean, literally all day, between salah and learning. And I said, SubhanAllah, it's not good. It's not good. Because I found myself between these two extremists that I'm just speaking about. So now it's time for my children to get married. So I'm running into men that either what? They have no deen, all dunya. He can take care of her, fine. Take care of her better than our own father was taking care of her. But he can't even lead her in prayer. La ilaha illallah. La ilaha illallah. Then I have the one, mashallah, he can lead her in prayer and teach her the whole Quran and teach her hadith and like that, but she's going to starve. La ilaha illallah.
I don't think they will starve.
Because he doesn't have a job, a skill, no way to earn.
Once married, they will start.
Huh?
They will start earning.
I'm not taking that chance with my daughter. Not taking that chance with my daughter. And he's going to figure out how to. No. She eats here. She eats in my house.
The risk,
She has.
comes with the wife.
Huh?
The risk comes with the wife.
Yeah. As long as.
You work if you don't work.
No, he's right. The risk comes with the wife as long as the husband is striving like the dad did. So at the very least, he has to keep her on the same standard she was on her father's house. Right? So now, and this is important to brothers too. I know it's a side benefit. I'm getting a little warm. I know it's a side benefit, but I left it in there. Don't worry about it. But at the very least, a woman should be maintained on what she was used to in her parents' home. That's the very least. So when you go to ask for somebody's daughter, look at how she's living and see, can you handle that? And this is if you want a marriage, inshallah, with the least amount of turbulence as possible. Least amount of turbulence as possible. Okay, this is where you live, and this is what you eat, and this is how, okay, I can do that. If you can't, bow out. Leave her for somebody that can maintain that. Don't try to convince her, oh, well, that's not important, and that's not, just, no, don't try to convince her of that. Leave her to somebody that's compatible. Like I said before, every Muslim man is not compatible with every Muslim woman. So seek compatibility. If you're not going to keep her on that lifestyle, walk away. But don't take somebody's daughter. Try to convince her to live your lifestyle. And if you can't treat her like her father, don't take her. If you can't treat her like her father treats her, and I'm talking about if her father's, a good man and taking care of her. If you can't treat her the way her father and take care of her way her father take care, don't take her. Give someone advice or tell somebody that you know that can keep her on that level or treat her on that level. Advise them to marry that girl, and don't take that girl and then try to brainwash her to accept less than what she's used to. Nah. What we're talking about? Nah.
These two extremes.
Oh, these two extremes. Nah.
That goes against the ayah in the Quran or something popular that you always mention, which is in the middle, that we are a middle course nation.
Nah. Yeah, these two extremes are against that. Against that. That's not the middle course. The middle course is what? An athar that says, and I think it's of Ibn Umar, he said, "I'mal li dunyak ka'annaka ta'ish abada." Work for your dunya as if you're going to live forever. Wa'mal li akhiratik ka'annaka tamutu ghadan. And work for your hereafter like you're going to die tomorrow. That's the middle. When you're meaning that, if you're doing something for your dunya, do it well. Don't have step. Do it well. But you're not. If we do it well, number one, like we talk about the importance of getting up early. If we look at these billionaires, if we get up early and take advantage of the time and make those phone calls and go to the meetings and be on time and whatever it takes, whether it be working for somebody or doing your own business, if we do it well, then you're going to be able to make the kind of money you need to make in a short amount of time. And then after that, you can say, okay, I'm going to work from this time to this time. When you begin finding out what kind of money you're seeking. Am I seeking necessity money, need money, want money, or luxury money? Once you decide that lets you know how much time to dedicate to your job or to your business. But those categories are going to say, okay, what is this money? This money I'm about to make right now. Really, all my bills paid. Everybody's taken care of. Everything's fine. Got a little money saved up. Okay. You know what? I'm taking off. I don't need that. Imam Abu Hanifa rahimahullah ta'ala, what he used to do? He had a shop. He used to work his shop hatta yaksib quta yawmihi. He used to work his shop until he made what he needed for the day, and then after that, take care of that, and then would spend the rest of his day in that. Subhanallah. So we have to decide what's more important, our dunya or akhirah. The dunya is leaving. We talked about the ayah in Surah Kahf before. Inna ja'alna ma 'ala al-ardi zinatan laha. We made that which is on the earth as a beautification for it, not for you, for it. The dunya is beautiful for everyone. And we gave the example, and I apologize once again for the example. The dunya is like a prostitute. We would all unanimously agree that if we saw a man looking at a prostitute, she's beautiful and she's dressed up like that, and she looks back at him and he comes over to us and says, she likes me, she likes me. Say, man, she's a prostitute. You're talking about she likes you. She's doing that for everybody that looks at her. She would do the same thing. That's the dunya, ya ikhwa. That's the dunya. Just because the dunya may open up for you and give you a little money, don't think, the dunya it's mine. It's not yours. She did it for Fir'aun. She did it for Haman. She did it for Qarun. She did it for Namrud. The dunya did it for everybody. You know how many wealthy kuffar walk the face of the earth? Bill Gates right now. Bezos. Warren Buffett, she does it for everybody at every time period. She doesn't care. She doesn't love us. Dunya doesn't love us. What did Ali used to say? من أراد أن ينكح الدنيا فيعلم أن مهرها دينه. Whoever wanted to marry the dunya, he should know that the dowry, the mahr, is his deen. Every bride gets a bridal prize. So this bride, the dunya, if you want it to be your bride, then the price is your deen. Give your deen, she'll give you everything you want. That's the dunya. That's the dunya. So these majalis, And I know sometimes it may seem, okay, yeah, we're going through the book of fiqh, but because we're talking about an a'mal bin niyat, and we want to get the most out of what we're intending, and our intention is to learn this deen. So he said, this is what brought us here. He said the deen is based on four things. Ittaq shubuhat, leave that which makes you doubt. Washad fi dunya, and cut off your desire, you're chasing the dunya. Wada' ma laysa ya'nik. And this hadith really means the hadith of Al-Hasan. Da'na ma la ya'nik, leave that which doesn't concern you. That's the hadith of mind your business. And this is an etiquette that we've lost. We've lost. Not everybody, but some people will ask you some strange stuff, your wife's name and this and that. And out of shyness, you may answer. This is not, we have to go back to the sunnah and learn how to say, Akhi, mind your business. We have to be careful of asking people about deep personal matters. This is not from Islam. The Prophet ﷺ in the hadith of Al-Hasan in Tirmidhi and others, he said that his grandfather, the Messenger of Allah ﷺ, taught him what? من حسن إسلام المرء تركه ما لا يعنيه. From the good of an individual's Islam is that he leave that which doesn't concern him. Leave that which doesn't concern him. So we embarrass one another by asking deep personal issues about each other's lives, and that should be left alone. And he said, وَعْمَلًا بِالنِّيَّةِ, and actions are by intention. So the religion is based on some of the scholars saying this is based off leaving off that which doubts you. It's based off leaving off that which is unnecessary from the dunya. It's about minding your business, and it's about actions being according to intentions. Allahu Akbar. فقوله. Okay. وقوله فقوله اعملا بالنية حديث عمر. So his statement اعملا بالنية is the hadith of Umar. Act according to intent. Actions are by intention is the hadith of Umar. Now, فجعله ربع الإسلام. So he made it a fourth or a quarter of the religion. والأول أظهر فهو في الحقيقة شطر الإسلام. He said in the first statement that was made that the intentions is half of the deen is more appropriate. That it is actually, the niyyah is not a quarter of Islam, it's half of it. نعم. لأنه يتعلق بما يصل الأعمال في الباطن وهو إخلاص لله في جميع العبادات. Because it is connected to that which rectifies that which is going on in the inside. And that which is going on in the inside. It doesn't matter how much we do on the outside. If the inside is corrupt, like the hadith of leave off that which makes you doubt, the hadith of Nu'man ibn Bashir. What did he say? إِنَّهُ فِي الْجَسَدِ مُضْغَةٌ. He said there's a piece of flesh in the body. إذا صلحت صلح الجسد كله. If that piece of flesh that's in the body is rectified, the whole of the body will be rectified. وإذا فسدت فسد الجسد كله. And if that piece of flesh that's in the body is corrupted, the whole of the body will be corrupted. ألا وهي القلب. He said, indeed, that piece of flesh is the heart. If the heart is corrupt, everything else goes with it. You know, we may say that the head, the body without a head is going to fall. No, you can have a body without a head standing, but if the heart goes, the body falls while standing. If the heart goes, the body falls while standing. And it's just a shell. And it looks like it's something, but it's not. Looks like it's something, and that's the worst case. At least if the head goes, the body falls and it's known that it's over with, it's dead. But when the heart goes, but the body is still standing, it creates a false impression that something is there when it is not. That's why people, when brain dead and heart and all of that, they say, should we pull the plug or should we just keep the machine on? It's a hard decision to make. It's a hard decision to make. But we're talking about the iman, and the heart goes, or heart becomes corrupt, then there's no doubt that it has fallen. Next. And that is being sincere to Allah in every type of worship. وَلَا بُدْ مَعَ هَذَا مُوَافَقَةُ الْعَمَلِ. You know another way to work on yourself? Embarrass yourself to yourself. Because you and Allah know your ability and know your opportunity. Embarrass yourself to yourself. Just try it. Direct, what I want to call it?
You mean accuse yourself?
Embarrass yourself to yourself. And I mean, it's just like bully yourself. Bully yourself, put peer pressure on yourself, with yourself, influence yourself. For instance, from what you know about yourself, if you see yourself falling short, say, oh, but yesterday, let's say for instance, you're home listening to Quran or reading Quran. And let's say that whisperer comes 5 minutes, 10, 15 minutes in, you begin to feel like, Embarrass yourself with something you know. Let's say, for instance, say if someone's in a sport, say, oh, but you didn't get tired 2 hours watching the game. Embarrass yourself to yourself. You didn't get tired watching the game, but now you get 15 minutes of Quran and you want to get up already. Come on. Fear Allah. Talk to yourself about what you know about yourself. Then nobody else knows that you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Let your Lord subhanahu wa ta'ala hear this debate that you're having. Let Allah ta'ala, we have to let Allah know that we're really fighting and we're really trying to do it. Let Allah know that you're really trying to do it. Nobody can hear you, this argument, but you, yourself, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's all. Nobody else knows what's going on. Fight. Fight. It's about Jannah. Fight. Don't give up. As DJ realized, we're all in the same fight. Fight. Make it, when you speak it out to yourself, it's less easier to justify. When you say, no, you got time. Yeah. Oh, you had time when such and such called you. Yeah. How long such and such called you? You stayed on the phone with him, laughing and joking. How long was that phone call? 45 minutes. And now you're only sitting reading the Quran for 10 minutes? Fear Allah. Have that conversation with you. Now, and we'll stop here on this point, this last point that the Sheikh is mentioning. He said it's ولا بد ما هذا موافقة العمل لشريعة الله. And it is a must that the action be in agreement with the legislation of Allah. كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام من عمل عملا ليس عليه أمرنا فهو رد ومن أحدث في أمرنا هذا ما ليس منه فهو رد أي فهو مردود. Like the Prophet said, whoever invented in our action that which is not from it, then it will be rejected. And whoever did in action that is not from what we are upon, then it will be rejected. Naam. So this is what we wanted to bring today. If there are any statements or questions about anything that was said, we'll take maybe 3. And if not, then we will stop here. Okay, may Allah Ta'ala accept our righteous actions and erase and forgive us for our evil actions. Grant us sincere intentions, beneficial knowledge, and righteous actions according to the sunnah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Subhanallah. I just saw your question, Tariq. How should one prioritize their seeking of knowledge? Very quickly, this is a very important question. A person prioritizes their seeking of knowledge by starting with that which is obligatory, and then that which is closer to being obligatory, or that which fulfills an obligation, and so forth and so on. So a person starts with that which is fard ayn, that is an individual obligation, and then deals with those things that also are connected to the fard ayn. For instance, Salat al-Fajr is fard ayn. So then the sunnah, and the afkar is connected to that, he does that. Salat al-Dhuhr. And then the sunnah and whatever's connected to dhuhr. So fulfills the obligation is that which surrounds the obligation. And then that knowledge comes first. So the knowledge of the pillars of Islam and Iman is the first knowledge a person should say. And the person should know that like Al-Fatiha. The pillars of Islam, Iman person should be able to say them, their meanings, their conditions, and like that, it should be like Al-Fatiha. And then after that, the person moves on to, of course, the meaning of La ilaha illallah will be involved in that. And the person should know the salah and have an evidence. Okay, takbir al-ihram, what's the evidence for that? The takbir of going into ruku'. Do you raise your hands coming out? A person should know evidence, clear evidence for every part of the salat that he does. The same thing for zakat, the same thing for fasting, the same thing for hajj. The person should know it. Then that's when the person knows the pillars of Islam. The pillars of Iman, believe in Allah, His angels, His books, His messengers, the qadr, and the last day. The person should know those 11 should be no doubt in a person's head. A person should know the pillars of Islam and Iman so thoroughly that he should be able to, if he wanted to, should be able to speak and he could dictate a book. A book should be able to be written. No, the pillars of Islam, the meaning of La ilaha illallah, la ma'budu illa al-haq, should know this. These are the pillars of the foundations of our deen. And then after that, the person should begin. Oh, definitely. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never left his teacher the whole time he gave revelation.
Yeah.
So if the Prophet was never free from his teacher, who can learn without a teacher? Who can learn without it? 23 years, Jibril alayhi salam came to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and taught him Islam, taught him Quran, taught him Sunnah. So now it should be under the tutelage of a teacher, but that does not stop al-ittila'. It doesn't stop a person doing his own research and reading on his own and then presenting his finding and his research to his teacher. Now, this is very important. Barakallahu feek. But you start with the obligatory and then that which connected to obligatory. Once the person finishes that, then I recommend a person that is not Arab to seriously work hard at learning the Arabic language. Very hard at learning the Arabic language. And then after learning the Arabic language or getting a good grasp in the Arabic language, then focus on memorizing the Quran. Because trying to learn the Quran before learning Arabic is going to be more difficult. But learning Arabic first and then learn the Quran makes memorizing the Quran easier. Now, and I had two phases of memorizing the Quran: before knowing Arabic and then after learning Arabic. And this is why I was able to finish quickly compared to the way I started off after learning the Arabic language. Now, Ameen wa iyyak. Allah yahfadhu wa yubarak fikum. Okay, so we'll stop here. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت وأستغفرك وأتوب إليك والسلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. أمين وجزاك. أمين وجزاك.
Tomorrow we have the
Oh, you have a class tomorrow at Daywood Masjid after Maghrib. A lecture. It's just a reminder, and it's going to be on the Hadith Al-Mu'min Al-Qawi, and I'll share the link inshallah in both groups. Al-Mu'min Al-Qawi khayrun. Huh? After Maghrib. Now, after Maghrib, it will be the lecture will be the strong believer is better and more loved by Allah than a weak believer. But there's good in all of them.